Himanshu, from a writer's perspective, a journalist's perspective, what do you think are the stories that haven't been written that really need to be written because we could lose them potentially?
One aspect that I'm very concerned about is that authors who write in international languages, particularly English, get maximum exposure. They are the ones who win the Nobel Prize. You know, authors who get their works translated. But there are a huge number of writers, a gamut of writers, who write in indigenous traditional languages, even oral mythologies and recitations, you know. And the rest of the world is completely oblivious of how rich, how deep, you know, how ornate, you know, these particular literatures and traditions are. This particular book has been very gratifying for me to be involved in, because it depicts a scenario, fictionalized of course, but based on a historical period during the Second World War and after the Japanese left when the British came in. It is the Indian experience in Penang, essentially in Penang. And we do not get that kind of a literature available from that period, no? And coming through a local Asian voice, you know, we've had the Henri Faconnès and we've got the Anthony Burgess, and that's a very Eurocentric, if I may use the word, colonial perspective, you know. But here you have, you know, characters who are actually living in the atmosphere they create. Like, for example, during the Japanese occupation, we've got graphic descriptions of the bombing of Penang, you know, graphic descriptions of how the Indian National Army cadres fought with the Japanese after the Japanese had surrendered, you know. So, and a lot of dynamics. And for me to come in and help out in smoothen up this translation, which has been done by Dr. Karthigesu, the late Dr. Karthigesu, is to bring new life into the literature of that period for our Malaysians.
Tell us, Himanshu, what do we know about the author himself? What do we know about the author?
The author lived in Medan for some time during the Japanese occupation and after, and frequented Penang. So, you know, during that period, there was a lot of movement, you know, between Medan, Penang and Singapore. One of the traders who actually moved was my grandfather, and he eventually settled in Penang, you know, in the 1920s. So, having said that, Singaram was able to, I believe that a lot of the elements in the novel are autobiographical, based on his own personal experiences. So for him to give that picture of those intense experiences and those ethnographic incidents, yeah, to the audience, for us to translate that and give it to the audience in the current generation, I think it's a great gift, you know, because we only know history in an academic, distant context, you see. But here you are, you know, it's coming to life through those words. You know.
Right, okay, wonderful. So, P. Singaram, author of Beyond the Sea, and it was a work translated by R. Karthigesu.